Welcome back to the weekend wrap. No production, just my thoughts. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Now, just to let you guys know, if you can hear any sort of barking in the background, and there's a dog outside the house somewhere. I'm dog sitting at the minute for a friend, so that dog's downstairs in the cage. You might hear some barking from them, but you know what, we're going to get through this. We're going to do what we do for about 10-15 minutes. I'm going to try to keep this one as short as I can, and then on to more juicy content for next week. But yeah, look, let's talk about this weekend overall. Now, first off, we go to the most valuable prospects card, which took place on Friday, which was headlined by Yoenis Tellez against Joseph Jackson. Fight ended in points win, as I predicted it would. Jackson sort of, he came to fight, so did Tellez. They were both lauded as kind of power punchers. So I think that because of that, both of them were very cautious in how they sort of went about their work and went about breaking each other down. So they did kind of nullify each other to a degree, but Tellez had the better of most of the exchanges, and just because of that, obviously he ended up getting not wide, but a comfortable points decision. But yeah, that's how I kind of predicted it to be, so congrats to him. Saturday, Matchroom, their next gen card, which was headlined by Peter McGrail and Mark Leach. So the only fight on that card that I had any real interest in was Beatriz Ferreira against Yanina Delescano. One sec. Bless me. So I know that what's her name? Maisie Rose Courtney on the undercard. She had a fairly comfortable win against what's her name? Di Stefano. The card itself was, it was what it was. Nothing particularly that special. Joe McGrail did some okay stuff, went to a points decision also. But yeah, Beatriz Ferreira versus Yanina. Now, the first one you kind of notice when you look to them is that Yanina was very much a much bigger, sort of taller and rangier opponent to Beatriz. Probably the tallest or the biggest opponent she's been in the ring with thus far. Beatriz, most definitely, she's been campaigning at sort of 130, but I think at one or two occasions she came in at like 131, 132. So she's been flitting between those weights, and primarily I think the main reason why she's actually been at the weights that high is purely so that she can stay in and around the right weight for her Olympic qualifiers that she's been doing. Obviously, everyone knows that she's still wanted to qualify for the 2024 Olympics in Paris to try and get a gold, because in the 2020 Olympics she only got a silver. So she's like, no, I want that gold medal. And there's no telling that maybe if she could, after the Olympics get down, there is a small potential she could maybe even get down to 126 when you don't have to be sort of being on fight weight sort of week in, week out. But that being said, the first couple rounds were they were even between her and Yanina, except she was having the better of the exchanges in terms of power punches, but she was getting caught. Sometimes she was getting caught with the jab, not moving her head, not slipping it, not having the guard up to block it. Sometimes when she would throw punches in the exchange, she would sort of get countered in the exchange when she was trying to exit out, sometimes exiting in straight lines. Other times she maybe would get caught or sort of rolled onto a shot and kind of get knocked to the side a little bit. So you could kind of see that in those first couple of rounds, while she was trying to understand the distance and her range, the size was having a bit of an issue with her. But she was still throwing heavy shots. And then from round 3 up until ultimately where it ended, I think in the 5th round, you could see that she started to get some of that time, and she was investing heavily to Yanina's body, which was stopping a lot of the output coming back. And I think that is what basically started to disrupt Yanina, just the fact that she couldn't contend with the real heavy thudding body shots that were being landed, and the fact that when she did get hit several times upstairs, you could tell that she did not expect to get punched that hard. Now, did she get hit that hard in the Caroline Dubois fight? I'm not sure. What I do know is I remember having watched the Caroline Dubois fight, even though Caroline beat her up quite convincingly. I don't remember her sort of staggering her the same way that I saw Beatrice staggering her yesterday. I'd have to go back and watch just to confirm that. But there was a moment, I think it was in the third round, where Beatrice caught her with I think it was like a right hook, and she ended up sort of staggering and wobbling back, but Beatrice kind of just looked at her but didn't pounce. And at that moment I thought, I was in the house like, oh no, she's hurt, like go for it. But I think Beatrice took about sort of 4 or 5 seconds to sort of go in to throw another attack, and I think by that point Yanina kind of went into that survival mode a bit and managed to sort of, stave off any further issue in that moment. In the fourth round, I think it was the fourth, there was an accidental clash of heads where Beatrice obviously swung a shot coming in, and as she was turning to basically throw the second in the attack, Yanina sort of dipped down, and obviously Beatrice is sort of her forward momentum's gone forward, crash, and you can see a big cut then opened up over Yanina's eye from the braids, obviously, that Beatrice was wearing. Horrible cut. But then from that moment, Beatrice really started sort of taking over. Referee looked at it a couple of times, got the doctor in to check it. Doctor's like, well, it's not bleeding. I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a bad cut, but it's not bleeding into the eye, so it's fine to continue as long as you're happy. So Howard Foster let the two of them come back in the fifth round. Right towards the end of the fifth round, Beatrice started putting a beating on Yanina again, like she's wobbling all over the place. She's finding it hard to sort of stay on her feet. And then Howard Foster eventually tells Beatrice to go to the neutral corner. He looks at Yanina, he's looking at her, and then he waves it off. Now at this moment you think, oh, he's waved it off because he's seen enough and he thinks that that's like a TKO, but he's waved it off because he didn't like how the cut was looking, how the blood was. So it ended up going to a technical decision whereby Beatrice got, I think, 4 out of the 5 rounds on all of the judges' scorecards, or 6 rounds. I think it might know it's the 6th round, so this happened. So I think she got 4 out of 6 on 2 of the judges' scorecards and 5 out of 6 on the other one. But yeah, look, it was it's like I said, rocky first couple of moments, but dominant after that. And yeah, it just goes to show that the power is real. And even though she's a bit undersized for 135, like the power carries up there with her. So I feel like she's going to be a bit avoided moving forward. But it was a really good showing from her. Janae Boston, I've totally forgotten the name of the guy that he was facing. I think his name was I'm not even going to try and remember. Either way, he got the stoppage. I know the guy's record was, I think it was 9-1 with 4 KOs. That's what I do remember off the top of my head. Don't remember the guy's name. Apologies. I said, with this whole dog thing, I've been, my mind ain't where it needs to be right now. But yeah, he had a pretty good performance. He had an opponent that just wouldn't sort of wouldn't quit, wouldn't sort of stop coming forward, wouldn't keep. It was finding it hard to keep him off, which I think partly was good for him. It was good to sort of stay under that sustained pressure to keep up the focus throughout the fight. There were still a few things that I saw in his game, which I've mentioned in numerous videos before. Sometimes how he has his chin raised, or when he punches, or just before he's about to punch, he drops his hands, so he's not actually guarding the chin or defending in that moment from before he attacks, and sometimes just after he finishes attacking. Those are some things that, against a guy that's either a much bigger puncher or a bit more skilled or more adept at countering, those are the issues that he's gonna have problems with. The same as he had those problems with Gordy Ross III when he went to America back in, what was that, November or February? It was one of the two. But it's a similar thing there, just because he's not sort of keeping defensively responsible, he's switching off, and that could be a problem moving forward. But with that being said, the way he finished the fight, really good punch, which basically just made the guy's body go limp. Now, to his credit, he did get up, he did beat the count, but the referee decided that enough was enough. He wasn't happy with it. He wanted to carry on and finish out the fight, but you know, it was what it was. It was a very heavy knockdown. Peter McGrail and Mark Leach in the main event. Peter McGrail is decent. He's a good quality amateur. He's an okay prospect, I suppose. Tried a lot of movement, not as many angles as he used to have. I think he's trying to develop more into a puncher to sort of come through the front door as opposed to around the side windows, which I don't know if I'm hugely enamored by. There was a couple of times when Mark Leach was basically trying to counter him and bait him in with the same shots that Jericho Quinn got him with in the shock upset defeat late last year. And I think that he had some contemplation about sort of how he was proceeding on the inside. He would go onto the inside and sometimes he wouldn't throw his hands until he knew that Mark Leach's hands were completely holstered. And to be honest, yeah, I don't really blame him as such. That knockdown, there must be remnants of that KO loss still in the mind. But it was an okay main event. Nothing really to write home about. I'll speak more about it on the breakdown on Tuesday. Going over to the Golden Boy card, which took place over in, I think it was somewhere in California, could be wrong, but which was headlined by Jose Ramirez and Rances Bartholomew, and then also co-headlined by Virgil Ortiz and Thomas Delorme. Now, quite frankly, first things first, that fight there was a terrible fight to sort of make, but I understand it's about activity. It's about just needing to get some of the ring rust off. So if that, in that sense, you do that, you would like it to be against someone that could at least give some rounds, but such is life. You had Marlon Esparza, who lost all of her belts on the scales. She came in at 114 pounds for 112 pound division. Gabriela Alanis, who lost her WBO title to Marlon Esparza one fight before. This was their rematch, and surprising to a lot of people, Gabriela Alanis actually got the decision on the scorecard, split decision. Now, I predicted it would be a split decision, and I actually said that I didn't put it in my video because I had actually forgotten to do so, but my thoughts was, I think Alanis is going to do a lot more to make sure that she gets the rounds banked on this one. But obviously with Marlon Esparza being quote unquote the A side, I wasn't sure she'd be able to get a decision. However, when I saw that she had lost the belts on the scale, that's when I kind of said to myself, yeah, if they're going to give anyone a decision, they'll give it to Gabriela. I wouldn't be surprised if she signed the deal right now. And at that point, you've got her. You've also got Gabriela Fundora over there as well. You can have all the belts on your side. And since if Marlon wins this fight, then those belts get scattered. And now you've got a job going around collecting them. Whereas this is probably the moment where you can sign this person. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall that way. And to be totally honest, with the amount of gift decisions Marlon Esparza's got throughout her career, especially in Texas, it's not surprising that this one she didn't get. Now, ironically enough, I actually think that Gabriela won the first fight more than she won this one. They were still both close, but I feel like she had more reason to win the first one than this one. But hey, you know what they say, man, sometimes karma comes around and it is what it is. But congrats to her. Next, we also had Oscar Duarte against Jojo Diaz. Now, I predicted that Oscar Duarte would win this fight. I thought he would win it via decision, just by outworking Jojo, which is something that most people do, although Jojo does have the skills to be able to sort of nullify and compete with a lot of these guys. However, when I saw that the fight was basically being taken place at super lightweight, Jojo came in, I think, at 138 pounds, and Oscar Duarte came in at 137.6 or something like that. Just too high in weight. Like, Jojo Diaz was at his best at 130, and prior to that he was 126 pounder. coming in the 135 division is not him. He's not Lomachenko. He's skilled, but he's not skilled enough or quick enough to have advantages over these much bigger guys, and he definitely can't compete at 140. I predicted he'd get beat by unanimous decision. Oscar Duarte done one better and actually managed to get the stoppage in the 9th round. Now, to be fair, Jojo was still defending, he was still throwing back and trading, but you could kind of see that the resolve and the resistance was kind of just wearing out round by round. And even when the referee sort of jumped in to wave it off and he was starting to protest, his corner actually was throwing in the towel at the exact same time. So even though he didn't get knocked down, he didn't get knocked out, he's still got a granite chin. Like, you know, just ultimately father time and not living a certain lifestyle was just caught up to him. And yeah, he just started to take a beating after a while. Which is a shame, and it's probably would be the last time we see him in the ring. I wouldn't expect him to carry on after that. I'm sure he doesn't want to be a gatekeeper. All the losses before, he probably felt he could justify them, whereas now it's like, I'm really not at that top level anymore, so there's nothing I can really do. So yeah, if that is his last fight, I mean, look, congrats to him on you know, making the most of the career that he's had, and hopefully he can do something more effective with his future. Oscar Duarte gets back into the winners bracket, onto bigger and better things for him. Him versus William Zepeda, I think, would be a great fight next, and I'm sure that will get made at some point. Then we had Virgil Ortiz versus Thomas Delorme. Nothing really to say. First round KO by Virgil Ortiz were brutal. It was a body shot to the kidneys. Delorme straight down, couldn't get back up, was just out cold. And yeah, Virgil moves on to that big fight against Tim Tszyu on the 3rd of August, so looking forward to that. Main event, you had Jose Ramirez against Francis Bartholomew. Now, I expected this one. I expected Jose to be able to get a stoppage within 6 rounds, not because Francis isn't that good, but because he's old. He's shop worn. He's not really been around the 140s for the majority of his career. He's competed there a couple times, but if I remember correctly, I'm sure he started off at 135 and kind of moved up recently, but he's 38 now. No real movement. He's got some power in him, but like, I just felt that Ramirez would be too fresh, and he wants to make an impression for his brand new paymasters over there at Golden Boy. Yeah, I mean, he got the victory, but he didn't get it in the most convincing of fashion. He got hurt on several occasions, in the 3rd round, in the 4th, in the 6th. And in the 3rd round, to be honest, though, it's lucky that Francis Bartholomew didn't actually get DQ'd, because he managed to, I'm not sure if it was a proper knockdown, but Jose Ramirez ended up getting knocked to the ground, and then Francis Bartholomew, even though he had one knee on the ground, just kept like hitting him, bang bang bang, until Jack Reese had to jump in and break it up. But that to me would have constituted a DQ. Not sure why it didn't happen. I'd have to go back and rewatch the fight. But yeah, so. But after that, after the 6th, it was competitive up until then. But then it was pretty much just Francis on the ropes, just kind of, tucking up, taking shots on the gloves, occasionally firing back with a counter. Sometimes they were landing, sometimes they weren't, but he was just being outworked. And then it got to the 11th round where it looked like he was taking a little bit of a shellacking. And then the ref was like, hey, you got to show me something. And he was just on the ropes. He threw right towards the end, and then the referee broke it and said, all right, it's done. Got to the corner and he said, look, I need you guys to tell him, I know it's his last round, but if he languishes on those ropes in this round, I'm gonna waive it. So they told him, stay off the rope. So in the 12th round, he stayed off the rope, started circling around, went on to, anytime his back touched the ropes, he angled off, started to try to throw some shots. He still lost the 12th, and he lost the unanimous decision on the cards overall, but he didn't get knocked out, which I guess showed good for him. Is of his 3 losses that he's got now, only one of them was a KO defeat. So I guess congrats to him for going the distance again and showing that the wily dog has still got a little bit of life left in him. Jose Ramirez, not a great performance from him. Back to the drawing board, I'm afraid. Here, you know what? him and Arnold Barboza might as well just scrap it out now, or Jose just needs to move up to 147 and forget about the 140 division. Just go up there, acclimatize, fight whoever you want to fight. To be honest, you've got a crowd that will watch you anyway. Just do that rather than sort of sticking around here, because you're clearly not at 140 for belts anymore. So what's the point in being there? You might as well go up to a weight where it's more comfortable to make your money that way. That's kind of how I see it. But yeah, look, that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. Look out for more, like I said, throughout the week, and on the breakdown on Tuesday I'll go into more detail about some of the fights in general. But yeah, I got to get back to this little pup, I call him. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you the name I give him. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, more content coming. Like, subscribe and share, all that good stuff. But I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.